Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Compton's Corner. I am your host, William Compton, a teacher, lifelong Kentuckian, and candidate running for Congress here in Kentucky's 2nd Congressional District. And I'm here with my co host, Spencer.
And I am Spencer Keck, coming at you from the Hillbilly Think Tank, the co-host. As you said here, I'm running for magistrate in Hardin County's 3rd district. Please vote for me.
Yes, please do. We need a lot of good people elected on all levels. Today, we're going to be talking about something that's more than just policy, it's about people. It's about food on the table, dignity, and what kind of country we want to be. We're diving into the fight over SNAP, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, and how cuts pushed by Washington Republicans are threatening families right here in Kentucky. Because when we see people go hungry, when I see parents working 2 jobs and still struggling to buy groceries that are on SNAP, I know that ripping that away from them is not the kind of country that we want to be. So, we're going to talk about SNAP benefits, and that's the whole conversation today.
Absolutely. And if
So,
you don't mind, before we start,
mhm.
I just, bring it back to Sunday school. Um, I remember there being a story about someone only being able to find a few loaves and a couple of fishes when people were starving that were being ministered to. Did that guy tell before they would be multiplied that they had to prove that they worked for it?
Oh, no,
No.
no, not at all. So, the first thing I want to talk about is what is SNAP? Let's go back to the basics for a moment. We do that in the classroom all the time with our students. So, with SNAP, a lot of people know it by another name, food stamps. It is originally created to help our low income families afford groceries. And here in Kentucky, we have recently seen over 600,000 uh, households in Kentucky, 600,000 people that receive SNAP. And I'm pulling up the stats right now. Uh, Out of those 600,000, it includes about 230,000 children uh,
In Kentucky.
In Kentucky receiving SNAP benefits. And out of our entire population, that's about 13% of our population receiving SNAP benefits. And I have more district related numbers as well, but uh, I'll throw that at the bottom real quick. You can see the top 4 counties in our congressional district.
So I see
Jefferson,
Jefferson has almost what,
yes.
46, over 46,000?
So Jefferson,
Hardin,
so
5,000.
yes, and so when we talk about SNAP benefits, we need to also make sure that we're discussing households. The SNAP benefits, that's how they kind of track it throughout the state. And each household roughly has, on average, about 2 people living there. So in
Not,
Jefferson County, oh, sorry, go on.
I don't mean to bother your tag down there at the bottom, but it says recipients. And I think you actually mean households, right? Because every
Correct.
household
Yes.
probably has 2 or more people. So recipients would be a misleading number. There are people that are starving right
Yeah,
now
let me
as they're
fix
not
that
getting
real
these
quick.
SNAP benefits. Yeah. Don't mean to be picky. Just want people to understand how many of our fellow Kentuckians, because you say the average household size when we think about this receiving SNAP could be two,
Yep.
but I think of the average American family has um, what, 2 kids now. They used to say 2.5 in the '80s, but it's probably down to 2 now.
Oh, where did
So
that half come from, by the
all
way?
right,
How do you have a half
exactly.
kid?
That's statistics for you, right? So
Uh,
let's say 2 parents, 2 kids. Um, yeah, and I'll let you.
yeah, so Jefferson County, we have about 48,383 households. And I include Jefferson County because, yes, that includes Louisville, which is in the 3rd congressional district. But it
Yeah,
also is part of the 2nd district, the eastern part of Jefferson County. Warren
right.
County, they have 7,715 Hardin County 5,165, and Daviess County, which is where Owensboro is, they have 5,439
So
households.
just remember, you got to multiply that by 2 or by 4, because that's households
Hmm.
getting these benefits. Could even be by 6, for all we know. If it's a family with 2 parents, 4 kids. But
Yes, and then some more data too. In the second congressional district, uh, again in total for the entire congressional district, we have 34,899 households that participate in SNAP, with 56% including children in the household, and 53% of those include a person with disability as well. And the average daily benefit is $5.63. It's the
I,
average daily benefit.
I can't buy
Imagine,
copy for that.
exactly, imagine having to afford food on $5.63 a day
Now,
to
could
feed
you
your family.
give me the percentage that includes, adults with disabilities being the head of the household?
So
Or, or you had a
we don't have
disability,
that.
or
Yeah,
well, no, that disability number you gave me. Read it one more time, if you would.
yeah. It is. Let me pull it back up. 53% of these households include a person with a disability. So,
53. So whether that's
53%.
a child, whether it's a parent, that's a very significant number that we should not um, toss into the wind.
Exactly. And uh, it's so disheartening to see people just automatically doing that, throwing them into the wind.
Absolutely.
There's so many, especially our children too, but there are so many people that rely on these benefits that need this just to get food. And I know you see it in the schools, I see it in the schools. Kids coming to school hungry every day, and sometimes the only food they receive is food at school. And
No, where I teach, quite a few of the kids do not get meals once they go home. They'll get
yes,
breakfast and lunch, at our school. And when they go home on a Friday, they're not going to eat again until Monday. And so when they come in Monday, hungry and angry,
yep,
I try to remind myself, what is it really impertinence that's going on here, or is it starvation and not sleeping well because you had a hungry tummy? It's
yeah,
it's hard to always remind yourself of that as a teacher. Think, oh, this kid's just being recalcitrant. No, it might not be, and I just got to keep that in the back of my head.
yeah, exactly. So, seeing these numbers and seeing who's going to be affected and who's going to have less food at home, again, it's just, oh, look at the puppy. Sorry. It's just, it just breaks my heart. It really does. Um,
Mine too.
eh,
I was that kid. My mother, when um, she separated from my dad, you know, we moved from Kentucky for a little while. She got a job as a social worker down in Florida, and we were living. We were eating food. Food that came from the food stamps, um, and that just became, unfortunately, a cycle for most of the rest of my life, except for a brief interlude where I got to live with my grandparents, who were, upper middle class. But once my mom remarried a ne'er do well that um, that would not keep a job, you know, there were times we were dumpster diving, literally, going to back a Safeway um, in Bozeman, Montana, when I was in the 6th grade. My brother was in the 4th, and mom took us dumpster diving because our stepdad had left us alone for 6 months with no income, no food, and she wasn't allowed to work at that point because of his religious beliefs. And so we were starving for 6 months. We ran out of food and went behind the Safeway. Unfortunately, they were so crazy they wouldn't have, he wouldn't allow her to apply for SNAP benefits, or we could have eaten.
yeah, exactly. It's and that's a story that we're hearing time and time again already. Still, and in a lot of cases, worse.
Yeah. Yeah. That was the 1980s. Um, and it just hasn't gotten, we had not improved the poverty level drastically like we could, you know. And it's not, and now, do you have the numbers there for it's this, people think, oh, these people should just get a job. Well, by God, most of these guys do have jobs.
Yep,
725 an hour, that's what, 13,000 a year? That's poverty level,
that is, and that's
you know?
below the poverty line in a lot of our places, a
And
lot of
so
our cities.
you can't pay rent, pay electric, pay for gas, pay for sewage, pay for your garbage to be taken away, pay for car insurance, pay for gas in your car, pay for maintenance of your car, pay for your kids' clothes, pay for their dentistry, pay for it. You just go down the line. You can't survive on 13,000 a year. And if you don't have any SNAP supplement, which you said what is only about $344 a month for
Yeah, on average per
per
household.
household.
Yeah,
So if you got a household of, six, like we had in that period that I was telling you about, two adults, four kids, $344 is not going to cut it. I alone probably eat that much myself, just trying to eat healthy,
yeah, exactly.
by not buy complete carbs saturated with salt and grease, when not, and trying not to eat processed food so that I don't, die in my 50s like my paternal grandparents did.
Yeah, exactly. And so that actually is a good segue for us to talk about the politics that we're seeing with SNAP. Why are we seeing this political divide with this program that's
Well,
helped
I've
so
got my
many
idea.
people? And what's your idea?
My idea is that we have right now lost empathy in America. We think that bully style politics and policies and attitudes is the way. If you are not strong, there's something wrong with you. We have no empathy. Can't put ourselves in the shoes of someone who would only make 725 an hour.
Yeah,
Blame them for that, not blame them for being, you know, used by corporations that won't pay a living wage. Walmart has been, known for years to underpay folks, and their wages are so low that the people that work at Walmart qualify for SNAP.
yep,
Now, I have nothing but respect for the Walmart employees that I encounter. I think that they are hardworking Americans, and they deserve to be able to eat at night. So
exactly.
but I have empathy. I know you do too.
Yes,
What do you
and
think is the problem?
I think that's a big problem. And I think that there's so much propaganda going around about
Yep.
SNAP and who gets SNAP that it's causing people to not see who is really helping. I know there's a meme that's going around that says, I know there's this real big push against immigrants, and that's a whole nother topic. But there's this
But
meme
they
going
don't
around.
qualify for SNAP.
Yeah, but there's this meme going around saying that out of all the SNAP benefits, and it shows a chart. And I think at the top it says Somalia, and then it goes down and then puts Americans down towards the bottom. And that's just completely false. It's a lie.
Yes.
I mean, if you look in Kentucky, at least 75 to 80% of recipients in Kentucky are Kentuckians, are uh, white Kentuckians.
Yep.
And so this meme that's going around, people are taking it as if it's true and not doing the research. And I think that's what is leading to this. I spoke with a colleague the other day about this. There was two colleagues, and one was on kind of our side, worried about students and them getting healthcare, them getting food and coming to school, being able to function on empty stomachs from this. And then the other one looked at us and said, well, it's the parents' fault. They need to be the ones that are feeding the kids. And we're like, well, what if they're working and because a majority of them are working? Well, then they need
William,
to just
can I ask
close
you a
their
question?
legs.
Did
Yes.
you get to pick your parents?
Oh, no,
And
not
I,
at
and
all.
I'm and you brought up another. Oh my God, a point. Closing their legs.
Yep.
So this is the same party that's telling us, as Musk said, how many times? We don't have enough children in America.
Yep.
We have a problem with not having enough people being born every year, and they're pushing for more kids to be born while
Yep.
they're simultaneously yanking the food straight out of their mouth when they come out of that womb. They don't get to have any WIC or SNAP, right?
Yep.
WIC is women, infants, and children benefits. For that's supposed to help the pregnant woman and help the woman who has had a child to feed them. But we're taking away all this and yet demanding that people have babies, don't have any access to, you know, procreation plans. Oh my gosh.
It
I don't want to have a baby in this economy.
exactly, yeah.
But they're forcing us to.
And
You
it
know,
just shocked me when I heard him say that, because this
yeah.
is someone who's been an educator for years to say that.
My God.
Um,
No empathy for his own kids. One
none,
other thing you
none.
mentioned there, William, you said people aren't doing their research, but you know what it is, William? They think that meme that you looked at is research.
Yeah, that's true.
They take it as fact and they believe, and they'll point that out to you if you say, prove it to me. They'll bring that meme up and show it to you. I've talked to a guy before about similar things like this. I'm like, okay, show me some data. And I'm like, don't show me Breitbart. Of course, that's what he was pulling up.
Yeah,
I didn't have to, he quit typing in because he was bringing up, you know, a, a non statistical, non accurate source.
yep.
And that's the problem. There's so many of those so-called sources out there that feed us lies so that we
Mhm.
can all be divided. I mean,
And
William, most of the people that I hear say this are folks who are right on the verge of being poor, lower middle class. That's where
yeah,
they got us fighting. That's that point of inflection where they have those folks that are barely over the poverty line looking down on those that are in poverty as if,
yep,
oh, it's your fault you're right down there. I got myself up here. Come on,
yep.
man. You know,
A little side note to everything. We keep mentioning the poverty line. Um, and so I pulled up the living wage MIT calculator real quick. And
awesome.
For Elizabethtown, Kentucky,
Thank
which
you.
is in
Where
Hardin
I
County.
live. Yeah,
Yes,
my district.
for two adults that are both working 40 hours a week, no vacation, every week 40 hours a week, with two children, what do you think the hourly wage is that is considered the poverty line?
7.25 an hour.
No.
No, I mean MIT's poverty wage. I'd say $15 an hour here because our cost of living has gone up now.
So according to this calculator, $7.73 per hour. Anything below that is considered below the poverty line.
Oh, poverty line, but you would need to be comfortably above it, 15 an hour at least.
Oh, for a living wage, both
Yes.
parents would need to make $22.86 an hour.
So way beyond what I'm saying.
And
Yeah.
that's with two parents working with two children.
In Hardin County.
And in Elizabethtown. If you have
Yeah,
three children, the poverty wage ends up being $9.05 an hour.
absolutely.
That
And
and that's just crazy. And of course, our minimum wage 7.25.
the national minimum wage is Kentucky's minimum wage. I lived in Montana for a little bit, and there the minimum wage was at least they raised it to I think it was 8.50 an hour. I couldn't believe it, but they did. And another thing, William, not to forget, we're talking about minimum wage. If you're a waitress, your minimum wage is 275 an hour.
75, yeah. Yep.
They assume that you're going to get tips. Well,
Yep.
that's a horrible assumption to make, especially, so
Yeah.
that right there. But in Montana, you had to pay wait staff same minimum wage as the state minimum wage. There was no, oh, I'll get to pay people who are, in the service industry less,
Yeah.
which meant a whole lot because that, state relies heavily on tourism. So, you get these hunters coming in during the winter from all over the nation to go hunting. They go out to eat. You need them to actually, but if they don't come in and, if it's a bad season, you need people to still be paid a good wage, right?
Yep.
If in the summertime you have people flooding in, to go to Yellowstone National Park, Glacier National Park. Well, same thing here in Kentucky, but we allow folks when they come like to Mammoth Caves in your district, or they do this bourbon tour. If a place just wants to pay 275 an hour as their minimum wage, they can get away with it.
Yep.
And that's just not right. You can't raise a family, as you just said. You need nine. What was it? Nine what an hour if you want
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
poverty
$9 and
for three. If you have
5 cents if
three
you have
kids,
three. If you have
yeah,
three, yeah. So, something else that a lot of people aren't realizing with these SNAP benefits is how much that SNAP actually gives back to our local economies, especially our stores. Uh,
yes,
for every dollar that's spent in Kentucky, the estimate is that $1.50 to $1.80 is generated in economic activity here. And
yes.
if when we get rid of that, what's going to happen to grocery store prices?
Well, I heard the other day that Walmart's already complaining.
Yep.
Because
Yeah.
folks aren't bringing in their SNAP benefits to buy their fruits and vegetables and meat.
Yes.
Um, and so it's hurting the grocers.
Yep.
So our local grocers are already hurting. They you think about the mom and pop grocery stores that really you know have a lot of clientele that come to them because they're not charging these huge store prices. They got manageable costs. How many of your farmers markets there accept SNAP benefits in Warren County?
I'll be honest, I'm not sure.
So I
That's
know that
actually a good question. I need to look into that.
there was one I saw on the news in Jefferson County that was trying to. And I hope
Okay.
they succeeded. But that's a way, number one, to help our local farmers out,
Yep.
and also help people to eat organic, healthy food so they don't get diseases that you don't want them to have from um, eating the low quality stuff, the processed stuff.
And here's this might be a little bit more on the controversial side, but on the state level, when it comes to our SNAP benefits, we have started seeing a lot of our state elected officials saying, "Oh, SNAP recipients can't buy soda. They can't buy this. They can't buy that." And now another meme that I'm seeing is like you'll see at Walmart caviar that's like $78 for nobody on SNAP benefits is buying caviar, but it says it's SNAP
No,
eligible. But
and they don't even sell caviar at Walmart.
exactly. And so,
So
but restricting the food, and they say people are saying they only need to be able to buy like healthy, fresh fruits and vegetables and this and that. And but the stuff that they're telling them they need to buy are more expensive. So if your main focus is getting food in the stomachs of your children and you're buying things that aren't as healthy because it's cheaper, why
that's
are
what.
we trying to negate that by saying you have to get this fresh food? If we're going to do that, then we need to make sure that that food's affordable too.
Yep.
And then I'm sorry, but to some of the people that might be watching, it's okay to have a soda every now and then. Why can't we allow people to have a soda? with these SNAP benefits. Now, granted, the price of soda is ridiculous right now, but that's again a whole nother issue. But gatekeeping what they can buy with this, I don't think we should be doing that.
Well, again, it's just trying to make people feel so excruciatingly ashamed of being
Yep.
poor. But 1 in 6 Americans, this is all over America, 1 in 6 Americans receiving SNAP benefits. So you tell me, how many of your friends and my friends, they just don't want to talk about it. It's embarrassing to them to admit, yeah, I work my tail off. I work 40 hours a week, but I live below the poverty line and I have to give my kids food that's supplemented, by SNAP benefits.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, man. We're teachers. We care for kids. We wouldn't be in our profession. And these kids need to eat.
Yep.
We don't
Exactly.
need to starve people and shame people for being poor. If you don't want people to be ashamed of being poor, make sure that we increase this minimum wage and we get to a living wage. Make
Amen.
sure that employers, right, can pay their folks more because, hey, maybe we go ahead and give them national health care. Then employers could spend more money just giving that to their employees and pay, right?
Yes.
I mean, think
So,
about it.
yep.
They go hand
So,
in hand.
exactly. So, moving on real quick to our last topic, what can we do? And so, before I preface with my couple points I have, I do want to tell everyone watching that on Friday we saw two federal judges say that the Trump administration needs to fund our SNAP programs using the contingency funds. They have until Monday, which to come up with a plan.
What the
And
second, William, the second, remind people the USDA already has those contingency funds. They're
yep,
there, right? They are
yes,
they're in the USDA coffers right now, just
yes,
sitting there. And the administration knows that, but they want to act like they're going to hold off on that, even though it's already been allocated, right?
yep,
This contingency money.
yep,
And so we're just on purpose making these people feel the pain and on purpose using it as a political tool, using the poor folks who can't fight back as a pawn and a tool in this horrible game.
yep. This political game of chicken. Who's gonna snap first? That, that,
Yeah, yeah.
that's really all they're using it for. But thankfully, two federal judges have stepped up, and thankfully, in that lawsuit, our governor joined others with this lawsuit to make sure that SNAP benefits go out. So it is yet to be seen what the administration is going to come back with. They have yet to
Well,
file.
I
Um,
predict they're going to wait for the Supreme Court to tell
oh
them,
yeah,
"Oh no, you're the you can do whatever you want,"
but
because
they have
that's
yet
how it's
to.
been
Yeah,
so far.
yeah, but they've yet to file a petition against it. So who knows? Um,
I hope that I would hope they do the right thing, but why have to be forced to do the thing that you would do if you had empathy for human beings? But we
exactly.
know that Musk said empathy is what makes Western civilization weak. I'm sorry, empathy is what has made us great.
Yep. Exactly.
That's all I ever saw in the words in red in my Bible was empathy. I never
Yep.
saw anything less than that. You know, telling telling people, let the children come unto me. You
Yeah.
know, you're not letting children come unto anything, spiritual, mental, anything, if they're starving. You are preventing children from coming unto their great potential.
Yeah. So, what are some things that we can do? So, I have a small little list. First, speak up. Tell your story. Talk about what SNAP benefits means to you, your family, your classrooms, your churches, your community. Why is SNAP benefits so important for your community? use your voice. Second, remember this when it comes to time to vote. And remember that
Yes.
we've got to vote for people who will understand that fighting hunger is not a partisan issue.
No, it's not
And
at all.
then finally, stop letting our politicians divide us.
Stop letting
Um,
the internet divide us.
yes.
Stop letting fake memes divide us. Stop
Excuse
believing
me, I was
the
just-
lies.
Yes. And so we're all Americans. Let's stand up together and help each other. And if you see people in your community struggling, especially with the SNAP cuts, with everything, go to your local food bank, uh, donate if you can, supplies there, go there, help them get things ready to hand out, and create these local food drives to help our community. Because again, hunger is not a Democrat or Republican solely issue. It's an American issue. Everyone deserves the right to have food.
It's a
So
human issue.
exactly. And so if you can go to those local food banks, ask your local party leaders, especially the Democratic Party leaders, what you can do to help to get those started. Because I know that statewide on November 8th, the Kentucky Democratic Party is going to have a statewide food drive to help with this. So reach out and lift each other up. Have that empathy that we need to make things better for everybody. That's my what can we do? And I don't know if Spencer, if you want to add anything in. Oh, I think he froze. Oh, okay. I think he's loading. We're having some technical difficulty. Which, on a side note, making sure that we have access to high speed internet in all of our rural areas is important.
All right, is my
All
back?
right, there we go. Yes, you're back. I made a plug about access to high quality internet in rural
All
areas.
right.
So, but so what are some things that you can think of that we can do to help?
Well, the big thing is, I love what you're saying about food banks. My church is doing it. We've gone from having our little food bank that we have at our church get feeding 6 families a week. Now it's 6 families a day. But what we got to remember is banks can't do it. They can't do it all. We can't just say, "Oh, we're going to leave it to food banks and to charity." Man, we've been there before. That's the world has been there before. That's how France was for the French Revolution. Think of Marie Antoinette. Just let them eat cake. You know, um, the churches can't feed the kids. Or they would all be bankrupt. You know,
Yep.
there's not enough budget in any religious institution to feed all the hungry people in the United States. And in France, that's what led to their revolution. You know, um, after during pre leading up to World War II and during World War II, that's why Franklin Delano Roosevelt started a lot of our programs that we have now. And then, with LBJ, increased them in his war on poverty. And we know that a certain part of our political spectrum has been trying to eradicate those two things for years. But FDR kept looting and rioting from happening across the nation because times were desperate during the Depression. Very, very desperate. We don't want to see that again. We don't want to go back to where, oh, we're just going to let charity take care of it all. No, there's not enough charity. There is enough angry parents. Well, if they watch their kids starve, they'll start looting because no one's going to be watching their kid starve when they know there's something they can do. So don't let this anger build up and boil over. All it takes is empathy.
Yep, exactly. So, any closing remarks you have? I know that was kind of a closing remark right there.
Yeah, it was. You know, this goes back to what I say at the end of every one of my talks. We got to love our neighbor as ourselves. I love myself. I like to make sure that I eat healthy. I want my neighbor to. I want my neighbor's kids to. Also, you know, we are a brother's keeper. We are a sister's keeper.
Yeah, well said. And I don't think I can add anything else to that. I mean,
Well,
we just have to have empathy for each other, like you said. We have to help each other out. This world is a very unforgiving world. Why are we making it harder fighting each other?
because it helps those at the top distract us.
Eh,
Yeah.
So, thank you all for tuning in to Compton's Corner. Please make sure to share out this to all your friends, to all your families. Share out this podcast. Let them know that there are people here who is listening to the people in the second congressional district in Kentucky who is ready to fight to make things a lot better for this district and this state and nation. So, again, William Compton running for the second congressional district here in Kentucky.
Spencer Keck, running for magistrate in Hardin County's third district. Bless your corazon. Please vote for me.
Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next time on Compton's Corner.